Okay. Now then, past hand bidding is a different animal from bidding in the first or the second seat. Usually, if you're sitting in the third seat and your partner has already passed, unless you have a great big hand, you know that if you get the bid, you're probably going to be playing in a part score. So when partner opens in the third seat, he's doing so for one of several reasons. He wants to compete for the a part score contract, obviously. As I said, unless he has a pretty good sized hand, the likelihood of a game here isn't fabulous unless you happen to be a maximum passed hand, 10 or 11 points, something like that. So one of the other reasons he might be doing that is to get in the opponent's way. Maybe if he opens, then if his left-hand opponent was planning to open one club because he doesn't have a 5-card major or anything like that, then maybe all of a sudden he can't open. That disrupts their bidding, and he may have to pass his first time go around. One of my very favorite things about opening in third seat is I like to make the opponents worry about playing no trump. I have a friend who says, if you're contemplating playing no trump, don't worry about having a stop in an unbid suit unless the opponents have given you a reason to worry about it. And you've probably heard it said too, lots of teachers, myself included, have said in the past, don't worry about that stopper. A good partner will have it for you, right? Well, I'll tell you what, I don't always have a good partner. So, maybe my partner has the stop or not, but it's generally true. If the opponents don't bid a suit, you probably shouldn't worry about it too much. You can pretty much figure that nobody has 5 cards in it, particularly if it's the spade suit or hearts too, but especially the spades, because the old saying, them what has the spades has the hand usually. So you can make the opponents worry about a no trump contract. And if you don't get the contract, you can give your partner a reasonable lead option. So that brings up an important consideration. If you're sitting there looking at a hand that is not quite opening straight, and by not quite, I mean 9-ish points, you're probably only going to get to bid once if you have that kind of hand. So if you have only a 4-card major suit, and as long as you and your partner have discussed this, you should consider opening a 4-card chunky major suit. By chunky, I mean something that looks like this hand here on the right on slide 1, ace, king, queen, jack. Now, it doesn't have to be ace, king, queen, jack. It could be ace, king, jack, 10. It could be ace, king, queen, 10. Say if you have people have said 4 of the top 5 honors, then play bridge. Lead the suit you want your partner to lead. If you open this hand 1 club, your partner is not going to lead a spade because you have all the honors. If you want your partner to lead a spade, you better bid a spade here. Now, you and your partner need to have the understanding that this might be a really nice 4-card suit, and you may end up playing a 4-3 fit. Well, you have 4 leads in the suit here. That's why it needs to be chunky. Don't be doing this with queen 10 and out. That won't work. You've got to have a lot of stuff at the top, like this hand on the right. But with this hand on the left, this hand also has 10 points in it, but it has a 5-card major suit. If your partner's got 3 hearts in his hand, you may find a heart part score here. So don't be afraid to open in the third seat with fewer than 12 high card points. Now, if you would routinely do this with fewer than 8 high card points, Don will be having a little chat with you. The ACBL's rule on opening bids says that you have to be near average. By being near average, what they mean is within an ace of a normal opening count. So if you would routinely open with 7 points in your hand in the third seat, your partner needs to alert that, because that is lighter than the law allows. But don't be afraid to open with 9 or 10 points in the third seat. Some people consider opening with 11 points in the third seat as light. Since I open a lot of 11 high card point hands in the first or second seat, I don't consider 11 points all that light. But 9 or 10, I definitely do. And I don't always make the rule of 20 or the rule of 20 plus 2 when I'm opening in the third seat, because my partner has already passed. Right now, it's my job to get in the opponent's way, to give my partner a good idea for a lead, make the opponents worry about a no trump contract, or maybe my partner and I can steal the contract. Who knows? But in either one of these cases, these are both 10-point hands. It's appropriate to open one spade with his hand on the right or one heart with the hand on the left in the third seat, so long as you and your partner have agreed to do that. This is another area that requires partnership agreement. So, another thing that you may or may not know is that the requirements for a weak 2 bid, particularly in a major suit, may be loosened a little bit and opened with only 5 cards in the major suit. For instance, in third seat, 2 hearts is entirely appropriate with this hand on the left. Does it worry you that you only have 5? Well, this is another thing. Your partner should be aware, if you and he have agreed that your weak 2 bid in the third seat might have as few as 5, then he needs to take that into consideration. That means that if you have 3 card support, you may or may not have a raise. When I play with partners who open 3 spades in the third seat, not vulnerable versus vulnerable, I know that at least 2 of my partners may have nothing more than the queen of that suit in their hands, and probably only 6 of them. So it is incumbent upon me to keep my mouth shut in that situation. I don't touch those bids with a 10-foot pole. If you and your partner want to be that aggressive, that's fine. But if you don't, that's fine too. But be aware that 3-level bids don't have the same kind of point count requirement on them that 2-level bids do. 2-level bids are more constructive than 3 and 4-level bids are. 3 and 4-level bids are purely destructive. I mean, they are meant to just get in there and gum up the works totally. They are destructive in nature because they're trying to keep the opponents out of the auction. Now, experienced players are not going to be scared off if they have the right kind of hand. But even so, you should take advantage of every opportunity that you have to force the opponents to make a high-level guess. Because if you can make them make a high-level guess, at least part of the time, they're not going to get it right. In the third seat here, this hand on the left is appropriate for a 2-heart opening, so long as you and your partner have agreed that that is appropriate. Or here, 2 spades in the third seat with this hand. Notice your points are in the suit you're bidding. Just because you have the appropriate number of points in your hand doesn't mean that you should open a 5-card weak 2. You need to have the points in that suit. If you don't, go on down the road and play the next hand. Now that's third seat, basically. Your partner's passed, the person sitting in the second seat has passed. But when you're sitting in the fourth seat, as we talked a couple of weeks ago, there are some different rules apply. Different rules apply when you're in fourth seat rather than the third. It's not the same at all. first off, when there have been 3 passes to you, if you don't have a great big hand, you know that the points are pretty well evenly distributed around the table. This is a case where one side has half the points usually, and the other side has the other half. That means that if you open up the auction, if you don't have the spade suit, you are inviting the opponents to step in with their spade suit and take the bid from you. That's why a lot of players use what's known as Pierson points or casino count when deciding whether to open in the 4th seat. To get that number, you add your high card points to the number of spades in your hand. If your total is less than 15, put down the green card, stuff your hand in the board, and move on to the next one. The reason being, you don't want to open up the bidding and have the opponent step in and take the part score from you. I ignored this rule here about 4 or 5 months ago, playing one day with a really good player, and I embarrassed myself because I had an opening hand in 4th seat, but I didn't make casino count. It only came to 13 or 14 because I didn't have the spades. Well, I opened the bidding. Next person passed. My partner bid once, and the person on my right stepped in and took the contract from me, and they made it. We got a 0 on the board. So, I'm telling you guys to be smarter than I am. I don't always follow my own rules, and I have lived to regret it on more than one occasion. So if you're thinking about opening in the 4th seat and you can't get to 15 for your high card points, plus the number of spades, forget about it. But that means that if you have 10 high card points and 5 spades, you should open it. You should open it 1 spade. Remember, he who has the spades generally has the hand. And at this point, maybe your partner has 10 or 11 points in his hand and you can make 2 or 3 spades. It's worth a shot. There are no guarantees. But besides remembering to use casino count, you need to remember also that you do not preempt in the 4th seat. There's no such thing as a weak and preemptive bid in the 4th seat because there's no one left to preempt. Everybody has passed. You're not trying to get in anybody's way, take a contract away from them. So a level 2 opening in the 4th seat is a full opening hand. The point ranges can vary from pair to pair. I like 14 to 16 high card points because with fewer, I could open 1 spade or one of the suit that I'm thinking of opening 2. But if I open 2 in the 4th seat, it is definitely not a weak 2 preempt because there's no one left to preempt. Do you want to open with fewer than 10 high card points opposite a partner who has passed? That might not be the best strategy in the whole world. Here you have 11 points sitting in the 4th seat. 11 points and 4 spades makes 15. I'm going to open that puppy 1 heart. If my partner responds 1 spade, yippee. We found a fit, we can play it. Contrast that with the next hand, which notice doesn't have nearly as much shape. It has 12 high card points in it and 2 spades. This is the kind of hand I opened in that instance I was telling you about. That needs to be thrown in. I'm never opening that kind of hand in the 4th seat again. Never, ever. I knew better and I did it anyway. And I lived to regret it. Now, this next one, though, on the right, look at that hand. That has 15 high card points in it and a nice 6 card spade suit. This looks about like a 2 spade bid in the 4th seat should look. Now, obviously, you can't bid 2 clubs. There, 2 clubs has its usual meaning in the 4th seat. When you have that kind of hand, just bid it the way you have been taught. But if you had the same kind of suit with diamonds or hearts, open it at the 2 level. That should tell your partner, hey, I've got a nice hand over here. We have some other use for two of a suit in the fourth seat because we don't preempt in the fourth seat. But remember, if you are the opening bidder and you're sitting in third or fourth seat, your partner's bids are no longer forcing because partner is a passed hand. So unless he Q bids, and you're going to have an opponent bid to be able to use a Q bid, or he uses a conventional bid that you and he have agreed upon. Say, for instance, you open one of a major and he uses something like a Bergen raise or that kind of thing, then obviously you're going to need to do what you need to do in that situation. But otherwise, your partner's bids are no longer forcing. If we know all of this.
Susan, Roy has his hand up.
Oh, go right ahead, Roy. I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Mm-hmm.
That's right. So what you're saying is preempting in the fourth seat is a universal rule. You don't do it.
No.
So preempting.
No, right. What you said is right, Roy. Yes.
Okay. So preempting in the fourth seat does not have to be alerted because you're opening with 15 count, which is an opening hand count.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's
you
correct.
Do not have to alert that.
Do not have to alert that, although if the opponents are half smart, you know, and they may not realize, they may ask your partner, hey, what is that there? But when you think about it, if you have a weak hand with fewer than 10 points in it and everybody else has passed, throw it in. You know, it just, I don't know why people don't think logically. Sometimes people don't carry their logic far enough. When you think about it, not in the fourth seat is completely logical. But if somebody asks you, of course, but no, opening two spades in the fourth seat is not alertable because it's standard. Opening two spades should show a 6-card suit with a better than minimum opening hand. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Susan, there's also Patty O'Neill had a question in the chat.
Okay,
How is a passed hand scored?
Oh, you just put it in as pass on your bridge mate if you're using it. It's on the key that has the K on it. And it depends on whether other people in the room bid or not.
Well, yeah, it goes in as a 0
yes.
for both sides, or you know, the net 0.
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's just as good a number as plus 50 or minus 50 or plus 600. 0 is just another number.
Right.
So if all the north souths are making bidding and making two spades, then if you're north south and you have a 0, you've got a bottom. But if you're east west and you have a 0, you've got a top, because everybody's plus 110 north south.
Yeah, it makes a difference on what happens at the other tables. And you know, some people open 11-point hands and other people don't. So even though a hand is passed out at one table, doesn't necessarily mean that it will be passed out at every table. So a lot of it depends on what happens around the room, as it always does. So
I don't think I've ever seen a hand where it's passed out in every table. Just doesn't happen.
yeah, you're right. I think I've maybe seen it once in my whole wide life. You know, everybody had 10 points and nobody chose to open in the third seat, basically is what it was. Now then, what does the responder do when partner opens in third or fourth seat? Well, he can bid a new suit. And we're talking about when he doesn't have support for the suit partner bid. And I think you will recall from a couple of weeks ago when we talked about opening in the fourth seat, that when you have support and a hand worth at least a limit raise, at least 3-card support in partner's major suit, that you can use the Drury convention. Now, Drury is missed with a fair degree of regularity. I myself have always been particularly bad about missing the 2 diamond reverse two-way Drury call that promises 4-card support, and then the 2 club bid promises 3-card support. I finally took 2-way Drury off my card because I missed 2 diamonds so often that I got embarrassed, and I said, no, I'm just going to take this off. I can't remember it. But if you don't use the reverse Drury convention with your bid, then your partner should deduce or infer that you don't have a fit and a hand with 11 or 12 points in it. Now, obviously, if you have support and 6 to 9 points, you raise a level, just as you always do. But if you have a hand worth 11 or 12 total points in support of partner's major, then using reverse Drury lets him know that, rather than just bidding 3 right out of the box. Because as we've seen, your partner may have 10 high card points in his hand and 5 spades, for instance. He doesn't particularly want to be in 3 spades opposite a limit raise. It might or it might not make. The Drury convention is a mechanism for keeping the bidding at a low level when you're not sure whether your partner opened light in the 3rd or 4th seat. Now, if you never open light in the 3rd or 4th seat, then you don't need Drury, do you? Your partner always knows that you have an opening hand. But if you do open light in 3rd or 4th seat, it is definitely advantageous to adopt the use of Drury. You should expect to miss it a few times. Reverse Drury and the support double are the 2 most frequently forgotten conventions out there. Everybody can tell you tales of what's happened when they have forgotten. I opened 1 spade in 3rd seat, next person passed. My partner bid 2 clubs and it went swish, pass, pass, pass. And partner played 2 clubs on a 2-2 fit. It's known to happen, folks. You just have to laugh and go on down the road, especially when Drury is a new item on your convention card. Human beings and human nature being what it is, it's going to happen. So just expect it. But the convention is so useful that it's worth a few zeros. At least it is to me. I used to worry about getting zeros. I don't anymore because I've learned, much to my chagrin, that I cannot avoid them. So, if you get a zero, you get a zero. It's one board. Let's just go on down the road. So now, if you are holding this hand right here and your partner opened 1 heart in 3rd seat, you don't have support, do you? And in fact, you really don't know whether he has a full opener or whether he's opened light. But in this situation, with 9 high card points in your hand, you can definitely respond 1 spade. The other thing that a 3rd seat opener has to be aware of, that if he bids particularly a 4-card chunky major, then he needs to be prepared to pass almost anything that his partner bids. So you should expect your partner here, if he doesn't have a full opening hand, to have at least 3 spades so that you can play at least a 4-3 fit. You're only promising 4 here and your bid's not forcing. So if partner passes, he should have at least 3 in his hand. 4-3 fits are not perfect, but they're not horrible either. Partner opened 1 spade in 3rd seat here. You're a passed hand, right? You have 10 high card points, so you couldn't open the bidding. So your bid here of 2 hearts, showing 5 hearts and 10 points, is not game forcing because you're a passed hand. For those of you who are learning 2/1, passed hand cannot force, let alone force to game. So 2 hearts means I have at least 10 points and 5 hearts, partner. Do you have hearts with me? Yes.
Backing up just a little bit, a question in the chat. On your first screen, you said you can open light in 3rd seat with a major suit. And is the implication there that you never do it with a minor?
Well, if I had a 5 or 6 card minor, I would do it. Yes, I would. And if I had fewer than 10 points, I might even say, for instance, if I had a hand that I would open 2 diamonds in first or second seat, I might open it 3 diamonds in third seat. You can do it with a minor. Just be sure that it's a suit that you want your partner to lead. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I emphasize major because I would not open a 4-card minor unless it were ace, king, queen, jack. In other words, I wouldn't open the minor unless I wanted my partner to lead that suit. I'm not opening a weak 4-card minor because I don't have a 5-card major with stuff in it. If I've got 3 small diamonds, 2 small clubs, and a couple of 4-card majors, and one of them is really chunky, I'm not opening a crappy 3-card diamond suit and have my partner lead it when I'm opening in third seat. I'm opening that chunky 4-card major that I want my partner to lead. My objective here is different because my partner has passed. And if I'm opening light, I absolutely know that we have no game and that it's possible that the opponents will take the contract. I want to make sure that my partner leads the suit that I want led. So it all depends. How's that for a definitive answer?
That's great.
Does it clear things up, I hope? Okay. All right. Oh, we're talking about when you use Drury to show a limit raise for your partner. Obviously, you have only a limit raise because if you had better, you'd have opened the bidding, wouldn't you? So when you're using reverse Drury to show a limit raise with at least 3-card support in it, you no longer need the 3-level bid to show that. All of a sudden, our favorite law of total tricks appears again. If you have 4-card support at least for your partner's bid in third seat, jump to the 3 level of a major suit with 4 to 10 points and 4-card support. This is a preemptive jump raise. Your partner should take it as such. He may have an opening bid in third seat. He may not. But he should understand that your failure to use Drury means that you do not have a limit raise for him. And I think you all are familiar with the weak freak hand. If you have 5-card support for your partner and something in the range of 4 to 10 points, and if you're vulnerable and the opponents are not, have a singleton. Because the jump to the 4 level is always preemptive and experienced opponents will know what you're doing and they don't hesitate to pull out that red card. If you're going to bid game based on distribution mostly, then you need to protect yourself. And the best way to protect yourself when you're vulnerable in that situation is to have a singleton. The 5-3-3-2 hand is really common, but it's not great opposite a hand that may have opened late in third seat. If I had that without a singleton and I had 5-card support and we were vulnerable and the opponents were not, I would pull it back a little bit and bid only 3 because I have respect for colors. Marty Bergen says colors are for children. Well, maybe I'm a kid still. Because I have gone for, just last week, I went for 1,100. So I have respect for colors. Maybe if someday I play as well as Marty Bergen does, then I'll have his attitude too. So now there are a lot of you that have learned 2 over 1 and you've learned the forcing 1 no trump that goes along with it. When your partner is a passed hand, the 1 no trump response to a major suit opening bid is no longer forcing. Remember, a passed hand can't force. The basic reason for that rule is that if your partner opened the bidding with a balanced hand that isn't good enough to produce a game opposite 11 points, which is the maximum that a passed hand should have in it, then he really shouldn't be required to bid on. It's a really good rule to think about if you're thinking about opening in third seat, to say, if my partner doesn't have a fit with me, can I pass? Am I comfortable passing anything he bids? Think about it. If you're not, then you and your partner need to talk about what to do in those situations. Whether you want to have partner rebid his suit, or whether you want to have him bid on if he opened light in third seat. Remember, passed hands can't force. If he passes responder's bid that isn't forcing, what should he have minimum? Should he have 3-card support, assuming that it might only be 4 cards in responder's hand? Or would 2-card support be sufficient because you and partner have agreed that responder will bid a 5-card suit in that situation? This is a matter for you to talk about with your partner. But if third hand opens one of a major, goes past 1 no trump, third hand can now pass. Same thing's true with fourth hand. So the problem here is that you cannot use the forcing 1 no trump to show a 3-card limit raise. That's what reverse Drury is for. Because 1 no trump is no longer forcing, in order to show your partner a 3 or 4-card limit raise, you need to learn Drury, because your partner can pass 1 no trump. When we're talking about rebids by the person who opened in third seat, the opener should always pattern his hand if he has a second 4-card suit to show. It must be lower ranking. Remember, bidding a new suit at the 2 level that's higher ranking is a reverse. You have to be sure that that second suit is lower ranking than the suit you opened, but with a full 13 points or more, it's okay to rebid a 3-card fragment in this situation. And your partner needs to be aware of that, because you want to let your partner know that you have a full opening hand. So you need to rebid. If you pass responder's first bid, that's like holding up a big sign that says, I opened light, partner, put the brakes on. We've got to stop. But when you have a full opening hand, you need to have some kind of a rebid. Now, if you don't have a full 13 points in your hand and your partner bids 1 no trump, just pass it. But don't ever, 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 ever pass a 1 no trump response with a singleton or a void in your hand in an unbid suit when partner has previously passed. That's a recipe for disaster. If you have a singleton in your hand and partner bid 1 no trump, you've either got to be able to rebid your first suit, or you've got to have a 4-card suit to bid. So for instance, with this hand, if you're holding this hand on the left, look at that. You know, you got, let me see, 5, 9, 12, and 1 for length in spades. I don't have a full 13 here. I've got 13 with distribution, but my partner's 1 no trump bid tells me we don't have an 8-card fit. So I'm not counting points for distribution because we don't have a fit. But in that case, I don't have a singleton or a void in anything unbid, and I don't have 13 points, so I'm passing 1 no trump here. Contrast that with this hand in the middle here. Here I'm 5, 4, 3, 1. In general, when I'm leading against 1 no trump, and one of the players who are my opponents has bid a major suit, one of the first places I look for a lead is in the unbid major. So when I'm looking at this hand and I know that my partner has suggested no trump, and I see that singleton heart, I'm thinking, oh, my hand doesn't look very no trumpy. I don't know whether he has anything in hearts or not. I only have 11 high card points here, but I have a 4-card suit that I can rebid. So I'm going to pattern my hand for partner by bidding 2 clubs. My partner should know now that I have 5 spades and 4 clubs. Hopefully he can pick. Maybe he has 4 clubs himself. You know, he would rebid 1 no trump rather than bid 2 clubs over my 1 spade opening. So maybe he has 4 clubs. And we'll do all right that way. So with a hand like number 2, I'm rebidding 2 clubs. Same thing here, though, with the one on the right. The difference is, what's the difference here, folks? I have 13 or more points, right? I have 13 high card points. It's an aceless wonder, but I have something in every suit. So I'm going to bid 2 clubs. That lets my partner know that I have a full opening hand. And so if he has 2 card spade support, he should feel free to bid 2 spades here. Or if he has that famous hand that would have opened, well, no, he couldn't have had that famous hand that would have opened a week 2, because if I opened in 3rd seat, he was the opening bidder. He will know, though, that he needs to have 5 card support in that minor to be safe in passing 2 clubs if he wants to. The other thing is that not having a full opening hand here, he could have 10 or 11 points, and when you bid 2 clubs, he rebids 2 no trump. He may have enough to bid again. He may have enough to bid again. So with 11 points and no fit for either one of my suits, then he can rebid 2 no trump, because he knows I have at least 13 here because I bid a second suit.
Hey, Susan,
Yes.
question on that last example. How does partner, you in both the second and third, you bid 2 clubs. How does partner know the difference?
Well, that's exactly right. Partner, yeah, he does. The only time you bid that 3 card fragment, though, is when you have at least 13 points. Partner may not know which one you have, but with a full opening hand, you need to bid again. And in this case, when you're bidding 3 card fragments, you always bid the lower one. He doesn't know whether you have the hand in the middle or the hand on the right. You may end up playing a 4-3 fit in clubs or a 5-2 fit in spades with that hand on the right. We don't always find 8 card fits. A lot of times they don't exist. So this is a matter, and you don't have to adopt that 13-point rule either. I find it helpful myself to know when it is appropriate for me to bid on as a 3rd seat person with an opening hand. In other words, with a dead minimum and no fit, I don't bid on. But if I have 13 high card points and my partner bids 1 no trump, particularly with this middle hand, I'm not leaving him in 1 no trump with a singleton in the unbid major. That is, I don't know, it's almost dereliction of duty in my mind. Other people may not feel that way about it, but my hand isn't no trumpy. So I'm going to show him my second suit. My reasons for rebidding with the middle hand and the right hand are different. Here I'm rebidding because I can't stand 1 no trump. Here I'm rebidding because I have a full opening hand, and in case my partner happens to have, he can still have up to 11 points. Remember, even though I don't know, it would be a matter of partnership agreement as to whether he would jump to 2 no trump with 11 or 12 and 2 card spade support here if he's a passed hand. That depends on what your agreements are. That is conceivably an agreement. Or if you want to keep things simple, he could have anywhere from 6 to 12 points, just as he does when responding to one of a major by someone sitting in 1st or 2nd seat. 3rd seat bidding gets a little bit tricky sometimes. And if you're not sure, just find the safest place to pass. So when your partner rebids a minor suit, don't pass without at least 4 cards in it. That's the takeaway here. If you pass 2 clubs here, you'll have an 8 card fit. If you pass it here, you'll have a 7 card fit. Worse things have happened. Okay.
And with that glimpse of the next slide, Ella asks in the chat if you could explain Drury before talking about reverse Drury.
Well, nobody plays Drury anymore. So it doesn't make any sense to, it used to be regular Drury was a rebid of the suit, says I have a full opening hand, partner. If you've got a good limit raise over there, I'm interested in game. They have found, however, that using that simple rebid of the suit is better suited to open light, partner. Let's don't go any higher. I'm glad you have a limit raise because I'm going to need every bit of it. That is simpler. It keeps the bidding simpler and it's easier for everybody to remember. When you have a full opener, in other words, you didn't open light, you typically respond 2 diamonds if you don't play two-way reverse Drury. So since they adopted that modification, Ella, nobody plays regular Drury anymore. Nobody. Everybody plays reverse Drury. It's just a more informative way of bidding. And they call it that. I don't know why, you know, that they could have thought of it like that originally, but they didn't. So as they used it, they discovered that, oh, hey, if the 2 diamond bid over 2 clubs means, hey, I have a good hand and I would like to think about going to game, show me something you have here. And that's the reason they call it reverse Drury, because they reversed the meanings.
Thank you.
Okay, now then. When partner opens a major suit, major in capital letters, when if he opens a diamond, Drury's not used with minors. So when he opens a major suit in 3rd or 4th seat, and there has been no intervening suit or no trump overcall by an opener's left-hand opponent, then the bid of 2 clubs shows a limit raise with 3 or 4 card support for that major suit. Don't forget to use dummy points because you know there's a fit. Use dummy points when you're counting them. If you and your partner want to differentiate between 3 and 4 card support, you can use 2 diamonds. That one I told you I have so much trouble remembering. Both of these bids are alertable because they do not denote actual suits. They have another meaning. So when you're evaluating your hand as the person who passed in 1st or 2nd seat, and your partner opened a major suit, and you have a limit raise in support of that suit, with an 8 card fit, give yourself 3 points for a void, 2 points for a singleton, and 1 point for a doubleton. If you have a known 9 card fit, then you get to give yourself more points because that 9th trump is golden. That 9th trump makes all the difference. Many's the time that a 9 card trump fit in a major suit will produce game on 23 or 24 points rather than the 26 that are normally needed. So 2 clubs and 2 diamonds are not real suit bids. So they must be alerted. You do not have to use the 2 diamond bid if you don't want to. You can use only the 2 club bid. So now, we all know, we've talked many times about 10-point hands and 16-point hands, the so-called cusp bids, and how one 10-point hand is miles and miles better than another 10-point hand. Well, limit raises are the same. Let's look at North's hand here. He passed originally. It's on the left. South opened a heart over here. And North says, oh, I have 3 card support from my partner. I have 10 high card points. Notice that there's no roughing value here. This is 10 high card points. But one of the advantages of having trumps, shorter trumps in the dummy is in the hopes that you can use the shorthand trumps to get rid of losers in opener's hand. But there's no shortness anywhere in this hand. Only 3-card support, scattered values, minimum point count for the limit raise. Contrast that hand with this one. This hand has 11 points in it, but the values are all in aces and kings. There's 4-card support rather than only 3, and there's a roughing value. This hand to me is a fabulous, fabulous Drury call. With this hand, the first one, I'm really tempted to say this is not a limit raise. I think this is a maximum simple raise, particularly if my partner opened light. If my partner opened light, we're going to be lucky to make 2 spades here because we're not going to be able to rough anything. And my values are soft. Look how many queens and jacks I have. I have 1 ace and that's it. These things matter, guys. The quality of your points make a difference. So I would consider bidding only 2 spades with this hand. And sure enough, my partner will have a full opening hand and he'll make 4 and all of that, and it'll be my fault, yes. But I have played enough hands where regarding this kind of hand as a limit raise and playing an even 3 or 4 results in down 1 or down 2, even opposite a hand that would normally produce a gain based on the auction. So I tend to be wary of these kinds of limit raises, and it's through bitter experience. So, all right. What happens after the responder has used?
Question.
Yes. Sure.
I don't want to get, there is a difference between 2-way reverse Drury and reverse Drury, correct?
Yes, the 2-way
And I think
utilizes the 2 diamond bid to show 4-card support.
correct. I think my partners and I play 2-way reverse Drury, so I want to make sure we understand this. In the first instance, with 3-card support, I would, if I was north, I would bid 2 clubs.
Yes.
Showing 10 to 12, and in the second instance,
You would
I would bid 2 diamonds.
Yes, you would.
Correct. And is that the same way you would bid that hand with just regular reverse Drury?
No, if you don't play 2-way reverse Drury, you use 2 clubs for both 3 and 4-card support.
Okay, so that's the distinction.
Yes.
Thank you.
You bet.
Another question in the chat, are you figuring on the opener, the 3rd seed opener for having 5 of the suit, even though with a good chunky suit, you earlier said we might open 4?
Well, that's right. And you know what? If that's partner's decision, and if that's our agreement, then yeah, he might only have 4, but he should be prepared for that. You know, when you agree to modifying your agreements for 3rd seed openings, that's one reason we're using Drury here to check and make sure that partners not down on an 8-point hand here. Because and by using 2 clubs, we keep the bidding at a low level. Hopefully we can stop in 2 spades. And even on a 4-3 fit with the appropriate chunkiness in the opener's hand, only a really awful trump split will scuttle that contract. So yes, I'm assuming he has 5, but if he has only 4, they ought to be a good 4. After reverse Drury, the opener can either show a sub-minimum opening, meaning I didn't have my full opening count, partner, a minimum opening hand, or even a good opening hand, 14 or more points in it, following the use of reverse Drury. He rebids his suit at the 2 level if he opened light. That does not promise 6. All it is an answer to partner's question. Did you open light or do you have a full opener? If I opened light, I say, opened light on this one, partner. two of my suit. For instance, here's the south hand. He's got 10 points. He opened one heart. The north hand has a very appropriate two club call. Aces and kings in that hand. 11 points, a roughing value, and nice 3-card support. But if partner doesn't have a full opening hand, we're not going anywhere, are we? So he uses two clubs to say, hey, I have at least a 3-card limit raise over here for you, partner. What do you think? South says, I think we should stop in two, partner. I opened light and I have the death shape here, 5-3-3-2. Yuck. I would so much rather have 5-4-2-2 than 5-3-3-2. So this is just a simple rebid of the suit saying, not going anywhere today, partner. Here's another example. He opened on 11 points this time. Oh, I marked that one heart. That should be one spade here. Sorry. I must have copied what was up here and forgot to change it. Now, here's north. He has 10 points and a singleton in and out and a doubleton in an outside suit. Definitely makes it worth a limit raise. And so if you are bidding reverse two-way Drury, this would be a 2-diamond call. But if you play just reverse Drury, then 2 clubs is the call. Now, this is not a full opening hand. But notice we've got a queen and 2 jacks in our 11 points here. Exchange a queen and one of those jacks for another king, and I'd like this hand a whole lot better. I consider this jack of diamonds over here. It might be worth something. You know, I can't see my partner's hand. As it happens, this jack fits in very nicely with partner's king queen, but he doesn't have to have that. So when I'm looking at the jack of diamonds, I'm thinking, hey, that may or may not be worth anything. So with this hand, I'm going to rebid minimally, even though some of you may consider this an opening hand. I don't open 11-point hands if they don't have 2 quick tricks in them. This one does not. So I would not have opened this hand in first or second seat, but in third seat, I definitely would. So this should be 1 spade. Change your copies here. 1 spade, 2 clubs. I would rebid 2 spades here. If you think this hand is good enough with the 2 doubletons in it to respond something else, then feel free. Feel free. You know, if what I'm telling you is a judgment call, if your judgment tells you something different from what my judgment tells me, go with yours. Don't substitute my judgment for yours if you have confidence and good agreements with your partner. If you don't play reverse two-way Drury, the opener can rebid 2 diamonds to show 13 total points and 5-3-3-2 shape. This is a specific bid for people who use reverse Drury only and not reverse two-way Drury. In effect, this bid says to the responder, how good is your limit raise? Are you on a lousy 10 over there, flat hand, something kind of like we saw earlier with maybe a doubleton in it? Do you have a crappy limit raise or do you have a really good limit raise? I have 13 points and 5-3-3-2 shape. In other words, not much in the way of roughing over here. Then this 2 diamond bid says, based on the quality of your limit raise, tell me how high you think we should go. So when responder rebids 2 of the major suit, he in effect saying, well, I have the limit raise, but it's a little shaky. I was being a little aggressive when I evaluated my hand this way. So notice, here's the north hand. He is the responder in this case. His partner opened a heart. He has 3-card support with 10 high card points. I don't know if you can count that queen of spades or not, but he has a limit raise. And so he bids 2 clubs. And then his partner says, hey, I have 13 points over here. I have a balanced hand, 5, 3, 3, 2. Are you on a minimum or a maximum limit raise? Do you have 3 card support or do you have 4 card support? North says, well, you know, I've seen better limit raises in my day, partner. Opposite a 13-point hand, we don't have a game. So he signs off in 2 hearts. Signs off in 2 hearts. Now, in this example, South opens a spade in 3rd seat. Here's another one of those really, really wonderful pancake hands. It has 11 points in it. They're not half bad, but he only has 3 card support and he has the worst shape you can have for a dummy. No roughing value at all. 1 spade, 2 clubs, 2 diamonds again. I have a full opening hand, partner. 13 points, 5, 3, 3, 2. 5, 3, 3, 2 opposite this 4, 3, 3, 3 isn't likely to be good. If North bids 3 spades, South is going to bid 4. So it's incumbent upon North here to evaluate his hand appropriately. Do people sometimes make mistakes using this method of evaluation? Of course they do. Once in a while, you get a gift from a defender. On some hands, every missing honor is in the right place, and you not only make game, you make 5. Does that mean that North made a mistake when he devalued his hand because it was flat? No, it just means that on this particular hand, everything worked. Sometimes that happens. Now, if the responder has a solid limit raise based on his shape and his point count, he may have 10, but if he has really good shape, that's okay. So then he can bid game in the major following that 2 diamond rebid by opener. Here South opens a heart in 3rd seat. North says, did you open light or do you have a real hand over there? By bidding 2 clubs. I have at least a limit raise with at least 3, or I have a limit raise with at least 3 card support for you. South says, I have 13 points and a balanced hand, partner. Oh, that's okay. I have a roughing value and I have a nice 11 count with 2 honors in your suit and a roughing value in spades. My values are prime. My king and queen are working together in the trump suit, and I have kings over here, not queen jacks in the minors. Here's another example. South opens a spade this time. This time the values aren't so prime, but he has 2 supported honors. That means that they have other honors in the suit there with them, and he has 4 card support. As I've said before, that 9th trump just makes all the difference in the world. So here he would bid 4 spades, even though this doesn't look like a particularly great hand. It's really quacky. The difference is we've got honors working together here, 2 supported honors, 4 cards, and the proposed trump suit and a roughing value. That's worth a shot. It may not make, but it's worth a shot. Now, another thing that he can do is bid a new suit that goes past the 2 level of the major as a short suit game try. Now, if those of you out there don't play game tries yet, what game tries mean is they're usually 3 level bids, and they are asking partner when they're bidding a short suit game try, saying, do you have a lot of values in this suit? Because if you do, they're wasted. I have shortness in this suit. If you have ace, king, queen in it, forget it. Your king and queen are wasted, duplicated values because I'm short. This is a method of showing how well the hands fit together. If the shortness improves opener's hand, then he can bid the game. For instance, this gets into a splinter bid. I'm going to skip that one. I think the splinter here is a little bit esoteric, and I'm going to go on past it. Let's go to, well, here's another one. Here's another splinter bid. It is a new suit. Remember, when hearts are the trump suit, sometimes the level lower in spades counts as the same kind of bid that a bid in another suit at a higher level would count as. In other words, we don't want to bid 3 spades here because we've been forced partner to 4 hearts. And we don't know whether this spade shortness helps his hand or not. So just bidding this suit here shows shortness in it. If he doesn't know yet whether he wants to bid game, he says, partner, I'm short in spades. Does that help? Or with this hand, partner, I'm short in clubs. Does that help your hand? Partner, I'm short in diamonds. Does that help? 2 diamonds, 3 diamonds note is not a raise because 2 diamonds is not a real suit. That's another bid that should be alerted, not just the 2 club bid here, but if you use that bid 2 diamonds to show the 13-point hand with 5, 3, 3, 2, it should be alerted because it's not a real diamond suit. Now, when North bids 3 diamonds, that also should be alerted because it's showing shortness. Those of you who are familiar with Jacoby 2 no trump know that 3-level bids show shortness. Well, it's the same concept here. The 3-level bid here by responder shows shortness. Now, if opener has 14
Susan,
yes. Mm-hmm.
just a quick question on that previous slide. What you're talking about is reverse Drury. That does not work on 2-way reverse Drury, correct?
That's right.
Is there another way you can show shortness when you play 2-way?
Well, I would have to look into that because when you play reverse 2-way, opener does not have that 2 diamond bid available to him.
Correct.
His responder will frequently have used it. But that,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that you couldn't think of a way to do it. I just don't know whether anybody has yet or not, Roy.
Okay, thank you.
As I said, I don't play reverse 2-way Drury. All right, now then, if the opener has 14 or more, I think you've all heard me say a million times at least, my motto is invite with 11 and accept with 14. Well, when I have 14 or more high card points and my partner has shown me a limit raise, in other words, he has invited me to game, I go. So if the opener has 14 or more high card points and doesn't have slam interest, in other words, he doesn't have that 19-pointer or 20-pointer that is unbalanced, he just has a 14, 15, or 16-point hand that wasn't appropriate for a no trump opening, and partner shows him a limit raise. Hey, 2 clubs, that's alert. That's a limit raise in support of hearts here, folks. He can just bid 4 hearts directly. He doesn't need to rebid. He doesn't have 13 points. So he doesn't need to rebid 2 diamonds. He just goes directly to game. Same thing with this hand. 1 spade, 2 clubs. I'm just pretty sure here. There are a lot of you who would have opened this hand 1 no trump, probably myself included. But if you open it a spade, you're going to get to 4 spades here by using Drury. In other instances, if you open this 1 no trump, partner obviously has enough to use Stamen. If he has at least 10 points, he has enough to use Stamen, and you can still find your spade set in this instance. So I think you should probably end up at 4 spades, no matter whether you open this 1 no trump or 1 spade. Either way will do the trick. Here we have 1 heart, 2 clubs by North saying, I have a limit raise for you here with at least 3 card heart support in it. South says, we should make game. 4 hearts. 4 hearts. This is a 14-pointer with shortness and diamonds, and it's 5332, but it's got 14 high card points in it. So this is another example of a hand where I would accept. My partner has invited me to game because he's told me he has a limit raise with at least 3 card support. I have 14. 14 and 11 make 25. 25 is close enough in my book. So I would bid that. Now, here's what Roy's been talking about. There is a bid called two-way reverse Drury, and it came into being after the law of total tricks was developed and became so tremendously popular. People decided they wanted to have a way distinguished between a 3-card limit raise and a 4-card limit raise in this kind of auction. So they modified reverse Drury and called it two-way reverse Drury. That means that the bid of 2 clubs is a limit raise with 3-card support. A bid of diamonds is a limit raise with 4-card support. If you have a real invitational hand with a long minor, you can no longer use 2 clubs and 2 diamonds to show that hand. You have to jump to the 3 level to show it. So.
Okay, one question from the chat. Can you recap what has to be alerted when you're using reverse Drury?
Sure. Reverse Drury, if you're using Drury, then the 2 club bid must be alerted. If you agree to use the 2 diamond rebid by opener to show exactly 13 points and 5332 shape, that should be alerted. If following that bid, responder uses a bid at the 3 level to show shortness, then the opener should alert that bid as well. Anytime a bid is not a real suit, it should be alerted. In other words, it has a meaning other than natural. You must alert it. So if you adopt those particular bids, those have to be alerted. If you don't adopt those, you can just use 2 clubs or 2 diamonds. If you want to play two-way, Roy, then 2 clubs and 2 diamonds are alertable. And that's that. Mm-hmm. Depends on how complicated you want to make it. Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming, everybody. Hi, this is Susan. Thanks for stopping by the Oklahoma Collective's YouTube channel. Basically, this channel shows recordings of our free 1-hour bridge lessons for advancing players that we offer every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you would like to join us, send your contact information to the email address shown on the screen, and we'll be happy to send you the link. If you would like to follow our channel and be notified when a new recording is uploaded, just click the Oklahoma Collective button below. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.